The haunted Airbnb. My terrifying weekend trip. I've always been fascinated by the paranormal, but nothing prepared me for the terrifying weekend I spent at a haunted Airbnb. From unexplained noises to chilling apparitions, this true story will make you wonder if you're truly alone in your own home. Join me as I recount my frightening experience, and you decide if you would ever dare to book an Airbnb again. We thought it would be the perfect escape. Just me and 3 close friends escaping the chaos of city life. We found this beautiful wooden Airbnb in the woods, huge porch, massive windows, dead quiet. When we arrived, everything felt still, almost too perfect. But that night, as we sat around the fire, I saw movement in the trees, shape, like someone watching us. I turned quickly, nothing. Just shadows. Just my imagination, right? But now I know that was the first time she showed herself. That night, I woke up at 2:30 a.m. to a faint whisper. It sounded like it came from just outside my door. I got up, opened it slowly. The hallway was pitch black. We had plugged in a motion night light earlier, it was off. Then I heard it again. Soft, trembling voice right behind me. It said, "Don't." I spun around. No one. In the morning, I told the others. They laughed, but that night, I wasn't the only one who heard something. One of my friends called us into the bathroom. 3 deep scratches had appeared on the mirror. Perfectly parallel, fresh, not from a fingernail. We stared at them, confused. Then someone pointed it out. They weren't just random marks, they formed letters. Bruh. We thought it was a prank until the lights cut out. Around 3:17 a.m., we heard music. Our Bluetooth speaker had turned on by itself. The song, something old, distorted, a woman's voice humming. None of us touched it. We tried to turn it off. It wouldn't stop. It just got louder and slower, like someone was playing with time. Then the speaker exploded, sparks flying, and everything went silent. While brushing her teeth, my friend froze. She saw a woman standing behind her in the mirror. White dress, no face, just hollow black eyes. She screamed, turned around, nothing, but the mirror stayed foggy. And there, in the center, a handprint from the inside. The handprint stayed there 4 hours, no matter how many times we wiped it. Cleaning under one of the beds, I found something wedged in the frame. An old Polaroid photo, 3 smiling people, and a 4th figure in the background. Shadowy, long arms, no face. We flipped it over. In red ink, it said, "Stay." We looked closer and realized the cabin behind them was the one we were in. That night, the motion light on the porch flicked on. We looked outside, nothing. Then, we took a flash photo just to check. The image showed dozens of tiny glowing eyes in the trees, watching us, and they were closer in the next photo. Much closer. In the back of a closet, we found a hidden compartment. Inside was a torn leather journal full of drawings. Symbols, faces with mouths stitched shut, and something called the Hollow One. The last page simply said, "She comes when the lights go out." That night, the power went out. Everything went black. No power, no signal. We lit candles, but the shadows they cast moved wrong. One friend vanished for 10 minutes. When he came back, he said nothing. His shirt was ripped, and he had deep scratches on his back. He didn't speak the rest of the night. Just stared at the closet. We tried to leave. The car wouldn't start. GPS glitched, rerouting us back to the cabin no matter what. The road out was covered in fog. We walked 15 minutes, turned around, and saw the cabin right behind us. We never actually left. Something was folding time and keeping us in. The porch chair was rocking again fast. We stepped outside. The wind stopped, but the chair didn't. Then it froze, dead still, and launched itself 5 feet across the porch. That's when we knew the house wasn't just haunted. It was angry. We moved a shelf and found a hidden door. Inside, a dusty child's bedroom, untouched, a small bed, a doll with real human hair, scratched into the floorboards. She sleeps here, and under the bed we heard breathing. The shadow woman finally revealed herself. At the end of the hallway, just standing, no face, long black hair, draped in white. We froze. Couldn't move, couldn't blink. She raised a hand and pointed right at me. Cliffhanger. Then she stepped forward. We ran, through the woods, down the road. We made it to the main highway, or so we thought. Our phones said we'd been running for 10 minutes. But the time, 7 hours had passed, and behind us, the cabin lights were still on. We made it home, alive, but things aren't normal. Mirrors crack when we walk by. We hear whispers through the vents. Sometimes I wake up with dirt on my feet. I thought we escaped, but she followed us, and she's still here. If you made it this far, thanks for staying with me. But just remember, next time you book an Airbnb, you never really know who was there before you. Subscribe if you want more real horror, and don't sleep alone tonight. My haunted house. The basement secret. I've always been fascinated by the paranormal, but nothing could have prepared me for what I discovered in the basement of this haunted house. Join me as I share a chilling true story that will make you think twice about exploring the hidden corners of your own home. The house on Ridge Hill Lane. When I first saw the house, it looked ordinary. A 2-story place on the edge of town, tucked between trees and a rusted iron fence. My parents were thrilled to finally move out of the city. I was just 10 years old at the time, but even then, before I understood fear, I felt it. The house had this heavy silence to it, not peaceful, but muffled, like the walls were hiding something. The grass never grew right in the backyard, and the basement windows were always fogged up, even in summer. My room was on the 2nd floor, right above the basement stairs. Every night, I heard them creak. At first, I thought it was just the house settling. But over time, I started to notice a pattern. Always at 3:15 a.m. for slow creaks. Then nothing. One night, I got brave. I stayed awake. I sat up in bed and waited for the creaks. But this time, they didn't stop at 4. They came all the way up the stairs. The basement door, I remember holding my breath, staring at my bedroom door, waiting for it to open. It never did. The sound stopped right at the top of the basement stairs, then silence. The next morning, I asked my parents if they heard anything. They laughed it off, said the house was old. But I knew what I heard. That day, I finally looked closer at the basement door. It was strange heavier than it should be. The handle was ice cold, and it had 3 locks. Who locks a basement from the outside? Whispers. I started hearing whispers, not loud, not clear. Just low murmurs, like someone talking from under the floorboards. They always came at night, always around 3:15. I tried recording the sounds once with a tape recorder. When I played it back the next morning, all I heard was static. Then a faint voice. Don't come down. History unearthed. Curious and scared, I started researching the house. It was built in 1912, owned by the same family for nearly 70 years. A man named Harold Ridge Hill. He had 2 sons. One disappeared at age 12. The other was committed to a psychiatric hospital. Nobody ever lived in the house long after that. The cold spot one night, I followed the cold. It started in my room, then down the hallway to the top of the basement stairs. I held my breath and stepped closer. The door was slightly open, and the cold was pouring out like fog. First descent, I grabbed a flashlight and stepped into the basement for the first time. Each step creaked louder than the last. The air was thick, dusty, and something smelled like old meat. My light flickered. Then something moved in the corner. I ran. Scratches. The next morning, I found scratches on the inside of the basement door. They weren't there before, 4 lines deep, jagged, like something was trying to get out. The voice, I heard it again, this time clearer. Help me. It came from the basement. But it didn't sound like a person. It sounded broken, like someone mimicking a voice they barely remembered. Digging deeper, I told my friend Jake about everything. He didn't believe me, so he came over that weekend. We both went down. He brought an EMF reader. It went crazy the second we stepped in. Then the lights blew out. We heard breathing behind. The hidden room, Jake found a hidden panel behind the old boiler. Inside, a narrow hallway and a locked iron door. We didn't go in, not that night. The tape, I searched the attic. Found an old box. Inside was a VHS tape. No label. We played it. It showed Harold Ridge Hill in the basement performing some kind of ritual. And a child tied to a chair. The return, we had to go back. We needed to know what was behind that door. We broke the lock. Inside were bones, small ones. The spirit, the moment we stepped inside the hidden room, the temperature dropped. Jake fainted, and I saw it, a pale boy. Standing in the corner, eyes black, mouth open, but no sound. Escaping the house, we never talked about it again. Jake moved away. I never went back in the basement. My family sold the house 2 months later. I still dream of that boy. He's always watching me. The reflection, some people say houses can't be evil. But this one was. That basement held more than memories. It held pain, trauma, and something that wants to be found. I still hear the creaks at 3:15 a.m., but now I don't live there anymore. Wherever I go, it follows. Would you dare go into your basement tonight? If this story gave you chills, imagine what's coming next. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new nightmare. And if you've ever experienced something strange, share it in the comments below. I read everything. Until next time, sleep with the lights on. My creepy neighbor's abandoned house.
This abandoned house next door has been shrouded in mystery for years. Rumors of strange occurrences and unanswered questions about its former residents have haunted the neighborhood. Step inside with me as we uncover the eerie secrets hidden within its walls. I've lived in this neighborhood most of my life. It's quiet, peaceful except for the one house no one talks about. The one right next door. It's been empty for years. Boarded windows, rotting porch, overgrown weeds swallowing the walkway. Some say it's just old. Others say something terrible happened there. I never believed the stories. Not until I saw someone staring at me from the upstairs window last night. But the house, still locked up, still empty. Also I thought, who was in that window? Growing up, kids in the neighborhood dared each other to run up to the porch and knock. No one ever made it past the gate. They said the house belonged to an old couple who vanished without a trace. And that sometimes, if you walked by late at night, you'd hear music playing inside. I never heard music, but I did hear whispering, low, murmuring, coming from the basement when no one was supposed to be there. The morning after I saw that face, I checked my security cam. There was no one there, but the motion sensor triggered at 3:14 a.m. twice. I zoomed in. At the edge of the footage, I saw something that looked like a hang pressed against the inside of the attic window. I decided to talk to Mr. Hanley, the old man who's lived across the street since the 70s. He didn't even let me finish asking. He just said, "Don't go in there, kid. That house, don't forget." Before I left, he handed me an old envelope. Inside was a yellowed photo of the house, but it looked alive. And standing on the porch, a girl who looked just like the face I saw in the window. That night, I dreamt about the house. It was calling me, the creak of the floorboards, the whisper under the door. When I woke up, my porch light was flickering, and on my doorstep was the same envelope. But I'd left it on my desk. Inside this time was a rusty key. I waited until noon, bright sun, no excuses. I walked up to the house. My hands shook as I tried the key. It clicked. The door opened an inch on its own. The smell hit me first, mold, rot, and something metallic. The floor creaked under every step. And in the living room, I found something strange, a clock, ticking, but unplugged. Each room looked frozen in time. Plates still on the table, coats on hooks, photos on the wall, but every face scratched out. Except one, the girl, the same girl. She looked angry, and the air felt thick, like the house didn't want me there. Something slammed upstairs. I wasn't alone. I crept up the stairs. The whispering grew louder. It wasn't one voice. It was many. I followed the sound to a locked door. The key didn't fit, but a faint knock came from the other side. Then, a girl's voice whispered, "Help me." I ran back downstairs and found a desk drawer filled with old notebooks. One of them was a journal, dated 1984. It belonged to a girl named Lucy. She wrote about her family moving into the house, about hearing voices at night, and how her parents changed. The last page just said, "They're making me stay here, even after I'm gone." I felt it before I saw it, the cold coming from beneath the floor. A trap door in the hallway creaked open. When I stepped near the basement, there were scratch marks around the handle, like someone had tried to claw their way out. I had to see.
The basement was darker than it should have been. No light reached down there. Just shelves of jars, bones, photos, symbols drawn on the walls in what looked like blood. And in the far corner, a child's bed, still made, still warm. A whisper behind me. "Why did you come?" I turned. No one. Then the walls began to creak, like the house was breathing. I ran up the stairs. The door slammed shut. I was trapped. And then I heard it again, the knock, but from inside the wall. I bashed through the drywall where the sound came from. Behind it was a hidden room, old toys, a mirror, and Lucy, but she wasn't a little girl anymore. Her eyes were hollow. She looked at me and said, "They all left me. You're staying now." I don't remember how I got out. All I remember is running. The door wasn't locked anymore. But as I reached the street, I looked back and saw her. In the window, smiling, like she let me go on purpose. It's been weeks. The house is still empty. But sometimes at night, I see the porch light flicker. And I hear the soft knock on my wall, same time. 3:14 a.m. every night. And in my dreams, Lucy's waiting. So, were you really ready for what you just heard? 3 chilling stories? Each one more terrifying than the last. Maybe now you'll think twice before walking past that mirror, opening that dusty basement door, or trusting the silence in your neighborhood. But trust me, this is just the beginning. If these stories gave you chills, smash that like button. Tell me in the comments which story creeped you out the most. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Because what's coming is darker, scarier, and more real than you could ever imagine. See you in the next nightmare.